It's a lesson you should heed. Try, try, try again. If at first you don't succeed, try, try, try again. It stuck with me, and I'm sharing this because it's relevant. My seventh grade teacher would always make us repeat this proverb every time we mispronounce a word, an English word, because he wanted to make sure that we tried again, right? And we got it right. I graduated high school in 2002. Back then there was no in-state tuition, there was no DACA, there was no TVDLs. TVDLs is the abbreviation for temporary drivers, temporary visitor driver's licenses. As an undocumented person, I wanted many things that were not accessible to me, like a college education, like being able to get a driver's license, etc. Things that maybe many of you take for granted. So, because I wanted all these things, my journey in this life started. I began by volunteering with community organizations, by attending hearings, by testifying in them, by sharing my story, telling people of my big dreams and how not having a U.S. birth certificate or a green card was a barrier in achieving these dreams. This was nerve-wracking. You see, I'm an introvert, and my English vocabulary back then was very limited. Furthermore, I sucked at public speaking, I feel. There was trying to convince legislators to give me and people like me an opportunity in my broken English. During one of those times, while trying to reach an elected official in Washington, D.C., a group of people and I met with one of the staffers. This was an older white gentleman. We told him why we were there, and I shared my story with him. I told him I wanted to be the first in my family to go to college. I told him I wanted to be someone in life. I told him I did not want to get deported while I was on my way to get an education. All this in broken English. He understood me. He got very teary-eyed. I was supposed to tell my story to the elected official, but he was not available. So I told his staff person instead, and he vowed to do everything he could to get the elected official to fight for people like me. That day, I discovered I could move people by sharing your story and by how powerful, I also learned how powerful storytelling is. In another occasion, I was at an event where various elected officials want to talk to youth about different issues affecting communities. And youth were able to ask questions. One of the panelists was then Senator Barack Obama. Back then, I didn't know who he was. I had never heard of Senator Barack Obama. I couldn't even pronounce his name. One of the topics that he got asked about was immigration. And during his speech, he spoke about securing the border and deportation. I remember getting very angry and hurt. He pretty much was telling all these young people that people like me needed to get deported. I wanted to go grab the mic and tell them off, but my introvert self did not allow me to. So I waited. I waited until he was done talking on stage. Once he was done talking on stage, I followed him because I wanted to give him a piece of my mind. And I could only do this on a one-on-one. So right after he was done talking, he was leaving. He was getting to the exit, and I was following him. I said, "Excuse me," but my voice was very low. Like I said, I'm an introvert. I said, "Excuse me." He didn't hear me. As he didn't hear me and he was approaching the exit, I was internally debating whether I should just let it go or if I should just speak louder. While I was debating this internally, a very loud "excuse me" escaped myself. I was even surprised. He turned around, right? And I said, "You just said in there that you want to deport people like me. You see, I'm an undocumented student. I came to this country when I was 11 years old. And you're saying that you want to deport me when all I want to do is get an education." He paused, he smiled, and he tried to explain to me, right, that this country has laws and that they need to be respected. He tried to explain to me that we need to enforce the border. And he also said that we need to find a permanent solution to the immigration problem because 20 or 30 years from now, he does not want this country to have this issue again. I couldn't argue with that, right? Yes, we need to find a permanent solution to this problem. But in the meantime, people like me are in limbo. We're waiting to see what the Congress, what the president is going to do. So at the time, my young self was didn't know how to argue back. How do you tell this person that they're wrong, that you deserve a chance in this country? I couldn't. So that was that. That was a bittersweet moment. Bittersweet, I say, because I was able to raise my voice, I was able to make my point, but he also made his point as well. Later, I mean, what do you know? He's running for president. And as it was mentioned before, he has one of the highest records of deportations. Do I think that he remembers me and he remembers that event and he remembers me approaching him and telling him how I wanted to get an education and how I wanted to be someone? Probably not. But because me and many people like me, many people, the people who are sharing their story today, are sharing their stories with elected officials, they are aware that immigration is not a black and white issue. There is so much gray area, and finding a permanent solution is not easy. So that was that, right? In 2003, we got in-state tuition for undocumented students in Illinois, and it felt great. I was being part of a movement that was having positive results. Nationally, we had huge marches the following years, 2004, 2005. We spoke about waking up the sleeping giant. We were using this term, the sleeping giant, meaning all the Hispanic community. Everyone was very excited. Then the campaign to get people to become U.S. citizens began, right? And the response was massive. Everybody wanted to become a U.S. citizen. These people were going to become U.S. citizens, and we're going to hit the election polls after becoming U.S. citizens, and we were going to have this powerful voice. But then nothing happened. The sleeping giant never fully awoken. In 2001, the DREAM Act, Development Relief and Education for Alien Minors Act, as it's abbreviated, had been introduced for the first time. The DREAM Act is a bill that would help people who meet certain requirements for instance, good moral character, have entered the country for the age of 16, have been in the country for 5 consecutive years, have graduated from a high school in the United States, or gotten a GED, and have been accepted into an institution of higher learning, have an opportunity to enlist in the military or go to college, and have a path to citizenship. At the moment, this was the only bill that will give a path to citizenship to many of us. Like I mentioned, it was introduced in 2001. We were already in 2007. The sleeping giant didn't fully awaken. All those times during times, all the activism was not being known because I was already in 2007 about to graduate college and with an uncertain future, right? I didn't know if I was going to be able to find employment in my career field because I was undocumented. So there was, in 2007, my big dreams were crushed. I was exhausted of the fight. It was always a battle. I needed to work enough hours to be able to pay my tuition. And at the same time, I needed to study enough hours to make sure I got the good grades. And at the same time, I needed to volunteer enough hours to make sure that the DREAM Act got passed. After so many times having failed at Congress, it got exhausting for me, at least. It felt like everything was just futile. So I dropped out of college a semester before completing my bachelor's degree. I dropped out with the promise that if things ever changed for me, I would go back and graduate college. I also took time off from volunteering, and I just focused on my personal life. I got married eventually. I was able to fix my status. And as soon as I did, I went back to school and got that degree. So why am I here, right? I am here because I have never forgotten where I came from. I have never forgotten all those battles. And because as a legal permanent resident, I have gained some status, the next step is to become a U.S. citizen, right? I'm no longer undocumented, so technically I don't have to fear deportation, although that's blurry sometimes. And because if I can be the voice of someone less privileged, like a dreamer, I will be. Because I want to see people like me succeed, and because this takes me back to that proverb I learned in 7th grade, right? Takes a lesson you should heed. Try, try, try again. If at first you don't succeed, try, try, try again. So that is why I'm here. That is why I'm still in the fight, because the first 16 years we have not succeeded with DREAM Act, with a path to citizenship. So we should continue trying again until we succeed for a DREAM Act with a path to citizenship, and not only that, but also a legislation that will protect also our parents, because our parents brought us here, and they should not be criminalized either for doing that. Thank you.